Welcome to Season 3 of rebuilding FC Kaiserslautern, and after getting promoted from the Bundesliga 2 in Season 1, we then had a mid-table-ish finish last season, and this season we're probably going to need to get a European qualification spot via the league under our belt if we're going to hit our target of winning the Bundesliga by the end of Season 5. There's not long to go. This is the halfway point. Can we do it? Only one way to find out. Welcome along, folks. Welcome to the video. And as I said in the intro, halfway point in the save now. There's only going to be 5 seasons of this. We've done 2 already. This is the 3rd. And if we go and have a look at the competition screen and look at the Bundesliga itself, as you can see, so far this season, we are at the end of the transfer window just before our next game. We currently sit 5th in the league. If we can finish 5th or 6th, then I think we're in a really good position. It's still going to be really difficult to win the Bundesliga with just 2 more seasons to go. But we do kind of need to finish around here, maybe 7th, if we're going to stand a chance at all of achieving our aims. And the reason why I say a European place is because the hope being that the board will give us more money to spend in the transfer windows if we have European football next season. We only had £11 million budget this season, and because of the reputation of the club, obviously the type of players we really want didn't really want to come here. But we'll go through the players that we've brought in very soon, because we've got a few additions, a few decent additions to the team. But if we have a look at the season preview, I mean, the season preview has us finishing rock bottom. Anyone that regularly watches my content knows I don't really go by the season preview because it's usually massively wrong. They predict bottom. We might still hit the same as what we did last season, which was around a 10th place finish. But yeah, the hope is going to be, like I say, 5th, 6th, 7th, somewhere around here to get European football. If we have a look at the schedule, as you see, we had a very decent pre-season, and we did rotate teams in this as well. And although we played quite a few meh type teams like Peterborough, for example, and Aris and all the others, we did have a 1-0 win against Sevilla in there and a 1-1 draw against Nice. The type of teams we'll be playing in, like the Europa League, for example, the Europa Conference League. And that's kind of shown me that even though they're not competitive games, we wouldn't be out of sorts already in Europe. So, yeah, definitely want it. First game of the season was against Karlsruhe, and we won 1-0 with a Tobias Raschel goal. That was in the DFB Pokal. And, yeah, we deserved to win it. We were the better team. We had more of the opportunities. It was a fairly quiet game in terms of highlights, to be fair, but as you see, 7 shots on target to their 5, much better XG, more possession, more passes completed. We were the better team, we deserved to win. It's a shame we couldn't have won by more, to be fair. So we go through to the second round of the DFB Pokal, where we play newly promoted Hamburg, HSV. Then in the league, we had VfL Wolfsburg, in the Bundesliga. 5-2 win. What a game. When this game finished, I just sort of sat there and thought, do you know what? If all of our games this season are going to be as eventful as this, then this is going to be one tiring season. It really is. We actually went 4-0 up in this game. Goals from O'Day, Raschel, Matondo and Matondo again, before they then pulled 2 back, Wimmer and Nagalo. And bear in mind, when Wimmer got his goal, that was only half time and it was 4-1. And I just kind of thought, surely the second half can't be as mad as what the first half has been. And it wasn't as mad, but it still had its moments. I mean, you've got the 2 goals here. There's other highlights as well. And I recently had a game in my unemployed journeyman save where we won 7-1. And I think that was something like 6-1 or 5. I think it was 5-1, 6-1 at half time. Absolutely reminded me of that game, this did. Tomiak getting another goal for us as well in the 73rd minute. Like I say, finished 5-2. Disappointed to concede 2 goals, but at least we scored 5. And the reason why I'm disappointed to concede 2 is because we've done a lot of work on our defence during pre-season in the transfer market, which we'll get to very, very shortly. Then we had Werder Bremen in the league, a 1-0 win away from home in this one. And again, we were the better team. They didn't even have a shot on target. We were the better team. I don't really know how they managed more XG when they had they had 10 shots at goal, but none of them hit the target. We had 6 shots at goal with 3 of them on the target and almost half the XG of them. We also dominated possession as well. Passes completed was the same. Yeah, again, we deserved to win it. Hanslik didn't quite perform for us on the right-hand side there, but Matondo has really been the player of the season so far in these first few games anyway. Then after that, we came up against Bayer Leverkusen, a 0-0 draw in the Bundesliga. And again, we could probably consider ourselves unlucky not to win this. If we could have our shooting boots on, our forward players could be a bit better than what they are. They were an issue last season. They're still an issue this season. I've not actually addressed that issue. But 6 shots on target to their 1, 16 shots in general to their 5. A better XG, over a point more of an XG than them. And it's so frustrating that we never got to win this game because, like I say, we were just easily the better team in that game. But 2 wins and a draw from our opening 3 games in the Bundesliga, just as a reminder, does leave us in 5th. We were actually top, but the teams, it's obviously Sunday in game, and the teams above us on 4 points, on 4 games played, have all played a game more than us. So even if we just get a draw from our next game, we'll move into the Champions League spots. But a win would actually put us back to the top of the table again. Now, don't get me wrong, I have no delusional thought going through my head that we're going to win the Bundesliga this season. We are not good enough for that. Right, let's get to the transfers, which is the bit you are all interested in. And this is basically all we've done. There's not been a great deal going on. We've made just over £5 million. Julian Kroll, our number 1 goalkeeper last season, he's gone to Norwich for £1 million. They were only wanting to pay around £500,000 for him, so the fact that we got £1 million out of them was pretty impressive, really. He wanted to go. We would have caused massive disharmony to the group if we tried keeping him. So we had no option but to sell him, and yeah, we managed to get £1 million for him. Richmond Tashi, who spent last season out on loan at FC 20, he's now moved to Tenerife. 2.4 million for him. I'm actually really happy with that. We've done some really good business getting 2.4 million for Richmond. He wasn't playing for us. He caused problems when he was here the previous season. So, yeah, a nice just over 2 million. Michael Scott, one of our youngsters. Now, I'm sad to see him go, I have to admit. And it pains me that it's for such a low amount. But we're just not in a position to demand 10, 15, 20 million. He's gone from 1.8 million to 2.2 million to Augsburg. They're in the same league as us, or Augsburg. He's actually in their second team, whereas at least he was in our first team. But if you go back to last season, he did only play 4 times for us last season. They were all from the subs bench. So he's probably looking at it that at this stage in his career, he wants to be playing regular football. He's played twice in the league this season, hasn't done anything. Well, actually, he's got a red card. So he has done something. He's got himself a suspension. So, yeah, he's gone. Like I say, bit sad to see him go, because I thought he could actually stay here and become a player. But if we're not playing him, we might as well get some money for him. And to get 2.2 million, yeah, definitely happy with that. Then we get to the ins. Marcel Alotka is our brand new number 1 goalkeeper. He's come in on a free transfer. He's an upgrade on what we have with Julian Null, on our previous number 1 goalkeeper. And he's getting better in training as well. 3.5-star current ability with 4-star potential. 24-year-old German. The fact as well that he was playing for a German club and he's German ticks a couple of boxes for the board when it comes to what they want to see from our recruitment. They want to see us sign players that are based in Germany, and they want to see us sign German players. So that ticks both of their boxes. In fact, so do all of our signings. Marco John is a left back, 2.6 million from Hoffenheim. He's come in. He's got a valuation of like 5.5 million basically. 3.5-star current, 4-star potential. He's training really well. Everything's going up. He can actually play in pretty much every area of the field. The only thing he can't do is a goalkeeper and a striker. Other than that, he can do anything else we want him to do. We only want him on the left, on the left wings, or wing back role rather. So that's where he will stay with us. And yeah, just 23 years old. He's had a cap at the under-21s before, had a couple of good seasons before with Hoffenheim, and they've got pure profit for him. We've got a good player for 2.6 million. Then our big money signing of the summer, for all 4.8 million of it, but you know, for us that is big money. Colin Klein Beckel comes in from Kiel. 3.5-star current, 4-star potential. There's a bit of a theme going on here. Evaluation of up to around 6 million. 22-year-old German chap. As I paid for Kiel, he did originally play for Borussia Dortmund. He's had some pretty good times at Kiel. We've brought him in. He was one of 2 centre-backs we were aiming to bring in. There was him and there was somebody else that wasn't quite as good as him, but pretty close. But the other person also wanted ridiculous wages. We're paying him 23,500. The other guy wanted something like 35,000. We weren't ever going to be able to pay that. So we put all of our efforts into signing him. It took some negotiating with Kiel. We must have put in about 4 different bids. Eventually, I think at one point, the highest we'd gone was something like 2.5 million. And another team put in a bid of 5 or 4.8 million. So we went in with a bid of 4.8 million as well. Our bid got accepted, as did theirs, and he chose to come to us. Absolutely delighted with that. So, yeah, we look at the dynamic screen. Cohesion is good, the club atmosphere is good, and the managerial support is good as well. The medical centre is what it is. You always pick up injuries. We're below what we were last season, which is good, although we are heading towards it. 11 injuries so far, nothing really to complain about, to be fair, but it is a constant area that I like to go to. As you can see here for the board, signed players based in Germany, delighted. They were distraught at that at the beginning of the season, so we've really turned that around. Signed German players, delighted with that as well. Everything they want us to do, we are doing. We are hitting every single landmark that they set for us. The supporters, basically the same. They want us to develop players using the club's youth system. I do plan on doing that, so I will be bringing players through from the youth system, so that will hopefully go up as well. And everything is looking really rather rosy. The finances, we've got £35.3 million in the bank. We haven't dipped into debt at all. We came very close here with just £397,000 in the bank, but then the finances hit and it's gone back up again. We still have £4.4 million in the transfer budget, so we might do something in the January transfer window should we need to. And the wage budget, we're, £40,000 underspent on a wage budget. So we've still got plenty to spend in there. We do also now as well have a scouting budget that enables us to have the world package, whereas previously we were on Central Europe only. So I clicked onto Europe just to spend a little bit of money, and then we got the scouting budget come in and it was for the world level. So if we've got the money, we're not going to say no, are we? Right, that probably brings us, well, it does bring us to an end of part 1. What I'll do now is I'll play through all these games up until the end of the January transfer window, so it'll be around the game against Borussia Mönchengladbach at home. So it'll be all of these games, and I'll see you on the other side of this transition for part 2 of rebuilding Kaiserslautern. So here we are at the end of the transfer window. It's been a very quiet transfer window for us. We'll get into that in a moment. But in terms of the league, we're currently in 5th position. It's probably actually the lowest we've been in a little while. As you can see here, we've been up and around. We were 7th back there, but then we've been around 2nd to 4th sort of thing for most of it. But we've just dropped down to 5th after a defeat. We're only, to be fair, we're only 5 points off Leipzig, who are top of the table. We're actually having a really decent season. We have lost 4 games all away from home. We've drawn 5. 3 of those have been away from home. Starting to see a pattern already of where we're good and where we're not so good. Leipzig, yeah, they're top, along with Bayern Munich, both on 43 points. Bayer Leverkusen behind them, 1 point behind. Then Eintracht Frankfurt on 39, we're on 38, Dortmund on 37. Then there's a little bit of a gap between the top, like 5th and 6th, and 7th and 8th, really. So our aim, if you remember, that I set myself was to finish in the European places. So possibly top six, seventh might just seal a Conference League place, but we probably need to be top six. Let's have a look at the schedule, how things have gone since the start of the season. You would have known how we done in this part here before the transfer window closed. A win in the DFB Pokal against Karlsruhe, and then beating VfL of Wolfsburg and SV Werder Bremen, and then a draw against Bayer Leverkusen, which is actually a pretty decent result considering where they are in the table. Since you were last with me, we then had a 2-1 win against Borussia Mönchengladbach away from home. Goals in that game coming from Rabbi Matondo and Philipp Hirscher. Then we played Hamburg in the league at home, drew 1-1. Then we come up against one of the big boys, RB Leipzig, away from home, got beaten quite comfortably 3-1 in that game. We had Raschel sent off in the 41st minute. Gribic got pretty much just a consolation goal for us in the 95th. Then we come up against Heidenheim, and an Eric Idrisu goal gave us a 1-0 win in that game. We had a bit of an issue with strikers, basically. Then we played Freiburg, beat them 2-1, goals from O'Day and Hanslick. Hoffenheim were up next at home, and we won 2-1. O'Day and Hirscher with the goals in that game. Then we got knocked out of the DFB Pokal by HSV. And as you can see from the team here, we did go full strength for it. It's not like we went weak or anything like that, but yeah, got knocked out on penalties. Then Union Berlin, a 2-1 win away from home, goals from Hanslick and Raschel. Then Bayern Munich were next up, and this was a surprise to me. I was resigned to losing this game, but a 2-0 win, another Raschel penalty with Boris Tomiak getting the goal as well, and we were very good in that game. As you know, you pretty much have to if you're going to beat Bayern Munich. Then we had Mainz away from home in the Bundesliga. Tobias Raschel with another goal, making it a 1-1 draw. That was putting us in front, but then Takuma Asano gave Mainz the equaliser. Then we played Eintracht Frankfurt, a 2-0 win in this game. Hanslick and Apoku getting the goals for us there. Then a surprising defeat against VfB Stuttgart, who are one of two clubs that's offered me a job, which obviously I've turned down because we're here at Kaiserslautern. They were like 17th in the league at the time. I don't know where they are at the moment. They're 15th at the moment, so they've not improved a great deal. So a 2-1 defeat there. Daniel Hanslick goal in the 8th minute, putting us 1 up. And at that point, I just thought it was going to be a routine win for us. But then they came back, obviously, to win 2-1. Then we went up against our fellow promoted team, Schalke, and won 3-1 in that game. 2 penalties from Tobias Raschel and a goal from John Simmer. Then against Augsburg, it was a 1-1 draw with Daniel Hanslick getting on the score sheet again. Then we had the mid-season break, came back and had a pre-season friendly, or mid-season friendly, whatever you want to call it, where we won 2-0. Since we've come back, we've not been overly great, I have to admit. Our worst performance of the season, a 4-0 away defeat to Borussia Dortmund, who again, they're not really throwing up trees. They're 6th in the Bundesliga, so they're actually one place, but I think they were about 8th when they beat us. So really disappointed we put in such a poor performance there. Then we played Werder Bremen, and probably a best performance of the season, either that or Wolfsburg, or maybe even Bayern with a 2-0 win. But a 5-1 win against Werder Bremen. Tobias Raschel with another penalty. Rabbi Matondo getting a hat-trick, and Adrian Gribic getting a goal as well. He does seem to get the odd goal coming off the subs bench, Gribic. You know, it might be an idea for me to actually play him from the start or something. But then we played VfL Wolfsburg again with a 1-1 draw this time. Disappointed to only draw 1-1 away from home, considering we beat them quite comfortably early on in the season. And then Bayer Leverkusen away from home, and we got beaten 1-0. It was actually a very close game. We've got Dudziak had to go off injured. Tomiak picked up an injury. We've got a bit of an injury crisis going on. As you can see there, Apoku and Matondo really not having good games at 6.1. Now, one of the big issues we've had this season has pretty much been scoring goals. Yeah, we scored 5 here and we scored 5 here. But the rest of the time, it's 1 goal, no goals, 1 goal, 1 goal, 1 goal. Got a couple in these, but then one goal there, one goal, no goals, one goal, no goal. You know, there's too many times we're only scoring one goal, and we need to get better at that. On the other side of it, our defensive record is actually pretty decent. It's very rare we concede more than one. I mean, if you look down the list, there's what, 2 there, 3 there, 2 there, 4 there. So there's like 4 times this season in all these games we've actually conceded more than one goal. So we're good defensively, but we're not really as good going forward. In terms of the transfers, there's nothing else to bring up. Ivan Martinez wants to go. We've just had a bit of an argument because Augsburg came in with an offer of 625,000, potentially rising to 1 million. Bearing in mind, this guy has a valuation of up to 1.4. I have no intention of letting him leave unless I get a substantial offer come in. We've agreed. He then wanted to talk to me about why I turned the offer down. And what does make me laugh is he actually said that, you know, the bit where it says about whether they're interested in going to the club or not. And he's put, you know, he's extremely interested in moving to Augsburg and he will need a lot of convincing to stay. And I just kind of looked at him and said, well, here's my convincing. You signed a contract, so you're staying. It's pretty much that simple. If you don't want to stay for this amount of years, don't sign the contract. You know, but and that's something that really annoys me with footballers. And it's not an FM issue. It's just a football in general issue that they just feel they have the right to go whenever they like. It doesn't matter that I've got to find someone to replace them or anything like that. But yeah, so we had a chat. I said the finances weren't right on the deal. He suggested 2.4 million. I said, no, it'd be 3 million. He said 2.5. I said, no, it'd be 3 million. He said 2.6. I said, no, it'd be 3 million. He said he's not happy. I don't care. He's basically a backup goalkeeper. He'll do what he's told. He'll like it and he'll lump it. And if we get an offer for him at the end of the season, we'll sell him then. So dynamics, we'll have a look at that. Probably not a good time to look at dynamics, but team cohesion is good. Club atmosphere is very good. Managerial support is very good as well. As you can see, Ivan Martinez is unhappy. Mika Haas wants to leave to get better playing time. If someone comes in for him, I'm happy to let him go. In terms of what we're looking at in the summer, there are, as you see, I've already been looking at it. There's 6 players here whose contracts expire at the end of the season. Now, Ritter and Hirscher, I wouldn't mind keeping them around purely for squad purposes, but they are a bit rubbish. Ritter's hardly played for us. Hirscher's just constantly injured. He's injured now. Jan Bola, I probably will give a new contract to because he's only 25. He can stick around for a little bit longer. But Sean Blum will go. Yasin Zor, I may keep him around because he's trained at club. And if we're going to get European football next season, we need our homegrown players. So I might keep him around. He has got a bit of potential as well. But Clement definitely will be leaving. I've set him for release already. Ritter and Hirscher will probably leave as well. Blum will probably leave. Bola and Zor, I may end up keeping around. So we're going to have a bit of business to do in the summer. In terms of finances, we've got 4.3 million in the transfer budget. Like I said, I've not spent any. There's not been any reason to. We've still got 40,000 left in the wage budget. But yeah, I look at our scout reports and I just don't really see there's a great deal out there at the moment that's worth bringing in right now. As you can see there from our business, nothing else has happened since the last transfer window closed. If we have a look at the medical centre, injuries are a nightmare at the moment. We are well above, and we have been. I mean, we were under here at the start of the season in August, but September we were as bad as what we were the previous year. We were higher than the previous year in October, level in November, but then higher in December and higher in January by a distance as well. As you can see here, we've got 6 total injuries. 2 is the average for the league. We've got the most injuries in the league. And John Simmer has been out for 53 days with 6 injuries so far. Philip Hirscher, 45 days with 6 injuries. They're both our right backs. So we are struggling with right backs when them 2 keep getting injured. Stephen Aday, 50 days through 7 injuries. These 3 are probably the biggest problem, I would say, in terms of our injuries. Now, looking at the schedule, These are the games we've got left this season. We'll have another look at the Bundesliga. 20 games into the season. There's only 34 games in the season, so we've got 14 more to go. So the real question really is, can we continue the way we've been going and finish in them European places? We have a look at last season as a reminder. We finished 10th last season. And yeah, I'm confident we can still get a European place. And if there's the coefficient ratings makes it 7th as well, then I really think we can get a European place. It's not going to be easy. You know, it is the second half of the season. Injuries get more frequent, suspensions come in, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I say about being pleased with our defensive record. 22 goals from 20 games is pretty decent. If you look at that in terms of this is the most, we're one of the better teams defensively. The problem we have though, like I say, going forward, we are probably about where we are in the league with 33 goals, but it just doesn't feel enough. It really doesn't. And it may be that in the new season or in the summer, we have to do something with our tactic, because it's either the players or it's the tactic. And I don't think it's the players, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, something to look at for the summer anyway. And here's a reminder of what we've got to come. I'll see you in part 3, where the question will be, have we qualified for Europe? What's that? Can we finish in the European places? Damn right we can. We finished 3rd. We have qualified for the Champions League, and we're only 7 points off Leipzig that won the league. That being said, we are only 1 point away from dropping out of the Champions League places altogether. But I think that is an amazing season. 20 wins, 8 draws, 6 defeats, 68 points, 57 goals scored, 31 goals conceded. We have had a fantastic season. I still maintain we need to score more goals, although if you alter it around like this and filter it by goals scored, we are 5th, so we're not that bad, but I just think we're 10 goals less than what Bayern scored. We do just need to get a few more goals in us this season. In terms of goals conceded, flip it around that way, we're 4th for goals conceded. Thankfully, it works out on points, not on the goal difference or goals scored or anything like that. But if we get back into the table again, because it got a bit messed up, Hoffenheim and Hamburg have been relegated. Schalke are in the playoff thing, presumably with whoever it is in Bundesliga 2. What's their table look like? So it's going to be against Nuremberg. So if we go back to the Bundesliga and have a look at the playoffs. So Nuremberg have beaten Schalke 3-1. So Schalke to go down. Nuremberg will be coming up. And coming up with them next season will be Köln and Bochum. So Hertha Berlin still staying in the league. Same with St. Pauli, likes of Hanover as well. There are some big teams in that Bundesliga too. If you fancy doing a Bundesliga save like I have, then I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. And the Bundesliga is a weird league because, like I say, we're only 7 points off actually winning the league. We've got 2 more seasons left of this save. And the fact that we've qualified for the Champions League, we've already ticked one of the ambitions that we had off. You know, the target we set ourselves was to qualify for the Champions League and win the Bundesliga and obviously get promoted to the Bundesliga. Well, we obviously got promoted to the Bundesliga. We qualified for the Champions League. We've now got 2 seasons to go full tilt at winning this league. And as you can see here, we are not too far from it. If we look at the finances as well, because we've had the budgets come through. And last season, we got given a budget of like £11 million. And I said then that if we're going to be able to win the Bundesliga, we're going to need a bigger budget than 11 million. You know, we need them to be a bit serious with their budgets. They've got quite serious. We've got a transfer budget of 41.5 million, a wage budget of 522,000, which when you go by the committed spending means that we've got an extra £100,000 in the bank. If we want to adjust some of that and give ourselves, say, another £100,000 in the bank, we could do that confirm it, 35.7 million is still a substantial amount of money for us. And then it gives us another £210,000 in the wage budget. And we can always move it about again if we wish to. If we have a look at our squad, as I said in part 2, in terms of players that are going to be leaving, Clement is going to be leaving. He's already made up his mind. I already set him for release anyway. And as you see, 1.5 stars. He's just not of the ability. Marlon Ritter, I really like Marlon Ritter, but I think we do need to let him go. Philip Hirscher is probably going to be going as well. He's only 2 stars. Sean Blum will be leaving as well. Again, he's 1.5, 2-star potential. And Tom Dahik, goalkeeper, who's actually in our reserve team. We only brought him up here because Martinez got an injury. He'll be leaving as well. And Yassin Zor, that I was contemplating keeping because he's trained at club and we could do with having him around. It's just not good enough. We've got younger players that have more of a potential and a similar rating in our dev centre that we can bring in if we need to. So yeah, he's going to be going as well. So there's going to be a lot of players leaving. We did offer new contracts to Yambola, whose contract was due to expire. We offered him a new contract. There's another one as well. I can't remember who it was now that we offered a new contract to, but it was someone around here anyway. And yeah, we'll probably, if we look at the ability bias, we'll look at it the other way round. Like I say, Clemens, we got Adrisu's in our he's in our second team, so don't pay too much attention to him. Sean Blum will be leaving. Lucas Leibrook, he needs to start filling some of this potential because it's his second season with us. He does get some game time, but he does need to get better. Mika Haas wants to leave, so we'll probably try and move him on as well. Not that he's wanted by anyone, but we'll try our best. David Schramm, we'll probably keep him around. He's trained at club. He's got a bit of potential. He's only 19 years old. But then you get the likes of Lyda, Hirscher, who's probably going to be leaving. Hanslick as well, not really good enough. Wildars, he's got some potential, but again, I'm undecided. I'm pretty much open to anyone from Philip Clement down to Yambola actually leaving the club. So we could be having quite the clear out in the summer. Not that we definitely will do, but we do need to improve our team significantly. If we have a look at our team when it's got everybody in it, I'm just making sure this is our full strength. So usually we'd have Stephen Aday in here, and Daniel Hanslick usually pops himself into there. That's usually our first choice. Defence I'm pretty happy with. We're going to be getting a new right back. Jean Simmer has got another year on his contract. He's 32 years old. He's one of our team leaders. We'll probably keep him around because he can play right and left, and he is an important player for us. But Klein Beckel, Mendy and Marco John, plus our goalkeeper Marcel Lockhart, I'm very happy with. Mendy has been linked with moves away from the club. In terms of who's wanted for him, it's Sheffield United and FC Porto. I think I'd be a bit offended if he went to Sheffield United, but Marcel Lockhart, a Saudi Arabian interest in him as well, in Al Duhal, as well as Porto, Werder Bremen and Mainz. Didn't mean to click on that. But yeah, at defence, even Boris as well, I'm quite happy to keep around. And Tobias Rochel, he's like an assist king for us. But anybody else, I'm quite happy to bring in better. So we're really going to be focusing on our midfield and attack during the summer. Right, if we have a quick look at our squad, filter it by position, I suppose. We'll scroll over here, have a look at who scored the most goals for us this season. And bear in mind, this is all competitions. So Daniel Hanslick with 11 goals, 6 assists. Then you've got Stephen Aday with 11 goals and 5 assists. Tobias Rochelle with 10 goals and 13 assists. Like I say, he was our assist king. He's probably our best player as well, if I'm being completely honest. His average rating suggests it as well. Matondo, 9 goals, 6 assists, wasn't bad. But again, we just need slightly better numbers. And I want to have a standout player, like goal scorer, because for a long, long time, Tobias Rochelle was actually a top goal scorer, top for average rating, and top for assists. So, yeah, that's where we need to improve the squad next season. In the meantime, we will have a look at dynamics quickly while I think about it. Team cohesion is very good. Club atmosphere is excellent. Managerial support is very good. In terms of our youth intake as well, we've had a few decent players. Danilo Bettini, central midfielder, likes to be a deep line playmaker, can play in a more advanced role as well. 1.5 star current ability with 4.5 star potential. Then we've got Alex Ratton, who can play left, right, or up top. 1.5 star current, 4.5 star potential. And Nikos Karavasilis, a central midfielder, ball-winning midfielder, can play left back as well. And I'm very tempted to get him trained as a left back. 1 star current ability with 4.5 star potential. In a future universe, we could have Karavasilis and Bettini as a central midfield too, completely homegrown and everything else. Adrian Schmidt is a central midfielder as well, likes to be an advanced playmaker. He's got 4 stars. Ezekiel Martin's 3.5 star potential on the right wing, and then you get into the probably not going to do anything while they're here. We have got an English guy actually, Romaric Ravel, wants to be a right back. I mean, he needs to improve a lot, and he needs his arrows to be going in the right direction. Says he can do centre back. I mean, he's 6 foot, but when you've only got a jumping reach of 9 and heading of 7, you're probably not going to be a very good centre back, even though his media description is a young centre back. Right, let's get into the end of season review, which we'll go to right now. Right, here we are on the end of season review screen. No trophies there, unfortunately. We might want to add that as one of our objectives for this series, is within the next 2 seasons to try and win the DFB Pokal. I mean, we might win the Champions League next season, who knows? Right, in terms of transfers in, not many to bring you, but Marcel Lotka came in from Borussia Dortmund. Was that a free transfer he came in on? Yeah, it was. We bought him on a free transfer. What a bit of business he was. 7.07. Yeah, star signing. Absolutely, that is a star signing. Ticks every box for us. He's been really good. He's only 24 years old, and he was free of charge. So you can't argue that. Colin Klein Becau coming from Kiel for £4.8 million. He's hit the green. He's hit a 7, 36 appearances, 2 goals and an assist. I was very happy with him. And Marco John also, I think, had a really good season. £2.6 million from Hoffenheim. And he's made 34 appearances, no goals, but 7 assists at a 6.94. Shame that's not in the 7, but I've been really pleased with him. 23-year-old, 24-year-old, 24-year-old. I think we've done some really good business for what, £7.5 million basically. In terms of transfers out, not great shakes, but Michael Scott went to Augsburg for 2.2 million, 34 appearances, 5 goals, 4 assists at 7.11. He's actually had a good season. I was gutted to let him go because he has got a lot of potential. And as it says, there would be a very good signing for the future. But hopefully at Augsburg, he can try and live up to some of that 4-star potential that he's got. Then Kenny Prince Redondo left on a free transfer. Richmond Tashi went to Tenerife for £2.4 million. Made 3 starts. He's obviously not as good as what he thinks he is. Drini Miftari went to Siegen on a free transfer. I don't even know who he is, to be honest. And Julian Kroll, goalkeeper last season, went to Norwich for £1 million and hasn't made an appearance. I hope he's having fun sitting on the suspension at Norwich when he was our number 1 goalkeeper. Right, moving on. I've said my piece. Final position in the Bundesliga, 3rd. A+ for the board. I'm not surprised, well, considering they wanted us to try and avoid being 16th. Daniel Hanslick and Stephen O'Day with 11 goals in the league were our top goal scorers. 96% capacity filled in our with our home attendance. And yeah, the board expectation to avoid relegation from the Bundesliga. So we've not just avoided relegation. We was 10th last season. We're now 3rd this season. We're going to win it next season, I'm telling you. DFB Pokal, pretty disappointed, went out on penalties to Hamburg. Yeah, is what it is. They've given us a C+. I probably would have given us a D. If we move on to moments to remember, the biggest win was in the Bundesliga against Leipzig, 5-0. We'll get to that in a moment. Stephen O'Day with 2, Raschel with 2, and Leibrook with a goal. Then the match to remember was against Wolfsburg. One of the first games of the season, that was, if not the first game of the season, won 5-2. Quite a memorable game, I must admit, and pretty much set us up for a good-ish start to the season. The goal of the season actually came in that game. It was Matonda. provides a perfect finish to an excellent team move by scoring an accurate finish from 19 metres. If we get to the finances, sponsorship says it's the same, but somehow that means it's gone down. Don't know. I don't understand how we don't get broadcast revenue. Someone's going to need to explain how broadcast revenue works in Germany to me, because we're playing on the telly. So I don't know how we're not getting broadcast revenue. That just don't seem right. Corporate and hospitality has gone up slightly. Competition prize money has gone up significantly because of where we finished in the Bundesliga. And matchday commercial and retail by like £1,000 has gone up type thing, or whatever it is, but very slightly gone up. The only thing I can think of is that the prize money for the Bundesliga is as high as what it is because it's not put in as broadcast revenue. It'll be interesting next season because we're in the Champions League. We will get broadcast revenue for the Champions League. So it'll be interesting to see if that changes next season. I would expect it would, but it also means you don't get broadcast revenue for the Bundesliga, which doesn't make sense. We're a 3.5-star national reputation team, no new sponsorship deals, 4.07 million in total merchandise sales. Shirt sales was 27,820 shirts sold. The following shirts sold well: Matondo, Rashel, Hanslik, O'Day and Dudziak. I think we're keeping all of those next season, so that should carry on as it is. Right, our dream team 11. Lotka in goal, yep. John left back, Zimmer right back, Mendy and Klein Bakel in the middle. Tomiak, Dudziak and Rashal in midfield. Matondo and Hanslik out wide with O'Day up top. I completely agree with that. There's no changes I would make to that team. In terms of the awards and the record break, so the awards, we've got Tobias Rashel was the fans' player of the season. The young player of the season was Marcel Lotka. The fact he's 24 means he won't be able to win that next season. Sign of the season was also Marcel Lotka. Goal of the season, Rabbi Matondo. Top goal scorer was Daniel Hanslik with 11 goals. I think he was their top goal scorer last season as well. Most assists is Tobias Rashel with 13. Most player of the match awards, Rabbi Matondo with 6. Highest average rating, Tobias Rashel with a 7.2. And most passes completed per 90 minutes is foremost Mendy with 67. Record breakers, Tobias Rashel for his assists. Rabbi Matondo with his player of the match awards. Boris for his pretty poor discipline, 15 yellow cards. Didn't get a red card though, but he did get 15 yellow cards, which, you know, let's be fair, is not far off 50% of the Bundesliga matches. Highest transfer fee paid, we broke that with Colin Klein Bakel. I have a feeling that's going to get broken again this summer. Youngest goal scorer, Eric Adrisu, 17-year-old promising striker, 17 years and 76 days was the age he was when he broke that record. History in the making. They say it's important to get off to a good start, but it rings as true as ever for Kaiserslautern this season. Kaiserslautern looked sharp right out of the gates. Few would have expected this outcome, but they gave themselves a chance and have reaped the rewards. Indeed, we have Raphael Fleiss of the Get German Football News. Yes. Right, manager timeline is what the manager timeline is. What we'll do as well is we'll have a look at the supporter profile and all that. If we can, where is it? Supporters, there you go. So the core has gone down to 40%. I think it's the fair weather has gone up to 16%. The rest of it stayed the same. Supporters' influence on the board remains high. 907.7 thousand social media followers. We have 27,247 season ticket holders with a 30,000 supporter waiting list. They seem to be happy with most of what we're doing. Set pieces, by the way, I just want to take you over to that because I had a quick look at this towards the end of the season. Don't know how much it's changed since then, but obviously we do play for set pieces. And if we have a look at, where is it? Goals from corners. We are joint second with 10. We were top with 10 at the time. Dortmund must have had a couple of corners or whatever since then. But yeah, joint second with 10 for goals from corners, and from goals from indirect free kicks, we're second with 5 on that. Now, to put it into some sort of perspective, and for anyone that wonders how do you do so well with your set pieces, I don't really do anything. I mean, if we're on corners there, we go on attack, I set these up. I have this one is the in swinger to the near post. Then we have that one, which is an in swinger to the far post. Then we have this one, which is an in-swinger short. I set those up. Responsibilities are shared because the backroom staff do everything else. I set it up as we like to, when you get the bit right at the very beginning where it tells you what your preferences are, I have the preference to be an in-swinger to the near post, hybrid for whatever the hybrid bit is, balanced for whatever that part is, and then I just leave it up to the board. I always put my tactic as play for set pieces as well. And yeah, every season we are always, if not the best, absolutely one of the best for corners and indirect free kicks. So it's not rocket science. If it is, I won't be any use to it. It's quite straightforward. Just set it up like that and you'll have a decent amount of success. There's probably tutorials out there on YouTube on how to really, like, not cheat, but make the most of the set pieces. And I'm sure some people will probably have more of an input on it than what I do. You know, they probably assign the players that they want and all this sort of stuff. I just leave that up to the backroom staff. As you can see from what I've just shown you, they do a perfectly reasonable job. Right, that is probably it for this episode. We'll wrap things up there. Join me next Sunday at 2 p.m. for season 4. Part 1, as always, will be showing you the transfer business that we've done, what the team's looking like going into the new season, and how we started the new season at the end of the summer transfer window. And we'll see if we can win the Bundesliga next season and how we get on in the Champions League. I can't wait to play Champions League football with whatever this team ends up looking like. Join me next week. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.